I had always believed I was one of the careful ones, the kind of girl who didn't fall easily, who didn't get swept off her feet by sweet words or fast moves. But then Daniel happened. Smooth talking, well dressed, soft spoken Daniel. The kind of man who walked into a room and made it feel like everything in your life was finally coming together. We met at a friend's birthday hangout in Lekki. He wasn't even supposed to be there. He came with someone's cousin, and somehow, by the end of the evening, he left with my number and my curiosity. He didn't text immediately. That alone intrigued me. It took him 2 days to message, and when he did, it wasn't the usual, "Hey, what's up?" He asked if I'd eaten, if I was okay mentally, if I was working on anything exciting. He didn't feel like a player. He felt intentional. By the second week, we were talking every day. Morning voice notes, random midday calls, memes, inside jokes, and then the invite came. "Come spend the weekend with me," he said on a Thursday night call. I hesitated. I'd never done that before, not with a man I hadn't known for at least 3 months. But something about Daniel felt safe. Clean apartment, stable job, the way he never pushed me to do anything too fast. "You don't have to overthink it," he added, sensing my silence. "Just good food, Netflix, and sleep. No pressure." That "no pressure" was the final nudge. I packed a simple overnight bag and Ubered to his place on Friday evening. The apartment was spotless. Scented candles in the corners, soft jazz playing, pasta simmering on the stove. He handed me a glass of juice and took my bag like a gentleman. "You're welcome," he smiled, "to your soft life." We ate, talked, watched a movie, and then, as expected, the moment came. The kiss was slow, careful. When his hands began to explore and I gently pulled back, Daniel didn't frown or shift. He paused, looked at me, and said, "Okay," just like that. No sulking, no change in tone, no pressure. We curled under the duvet like two people who had known each other forever. He let me hold his hand, and that was it. As I drifted off to sleep beside him, I remember smiling to myself. This was different. This was new. This was possibly it. If only I knew the twist life was about to throw. I woke up to the soft aroma of brewed coffee and a gentle knock on the guest room door. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Daniel called playfully. I blinked, stretched, and sat up. For a second, I forgot where I was. All came rushing back. The cuddling, the safety. I opened the door, and there he was, in joggers and a tea, holding a tray. "Breakfast in bed?" I teased. "Not quite," he smiled. "But I figured you'd like tea and toast before we step out." "Step out?" He shrugged. "I'm going to get you some things. Groceries, anything you like. You mentioned you're restocking, remember?" My brain paused. Who volunteers to buy a lady groceries the morning after she says no to sex? In that moment, I was convinced my village witches had finally slept off, because this had to be divine alignment. We drove in silence, hand in hand. I stared at him as he drove. The confidence, the focus. He looked like someone who didn't play games. A man who had suffered enough to know what he wanted. And what he wanted was me. By the time we got to Skyline Supermarket, I was floating. Daniel pushed the trolley himself. "Pick anything you want," he said with a grin. "Just don't exceed 500,000 naira." I paused. "What?" "I'm serious, go crazy." That was the first moment I should have raised an eyebrow. But instead, I laughed. "You sure you want to say that to a woman who grew up pricing sardines at Igando market?" He winked. I said what I said. So I picked, and picked, and picked. Cereals, soap, detergent, sanitary pads, body mist, rice, eggs, spaghetti, spices, oil, even an air fryer and a microwave, which he actually suggested. "This will save you cooking time," he said casually, dropping the microwave in the trolley. I glanced around the store. Other ladies were looking. Some smiled. One even muttered, "Ah, Godwin." And I basked in it. I was her, the girl with a rich, thoughtful boyfriend who didn't just talk the talk, but backed it up with action. The cart was so full I could barely see in front of me. I turned to Daniel and said, "Babe, this is crazy." He chuckled. "You deserve it." We laughed all the way to the checkout. I even called my mom that I had a good feeling about this one. I took selfies, sent one to my best friend with the caption, "When your man says, pick anything." When we were about 3 people away from the cashier, Daniel leaned in. "Let me just quickly grab milk," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "Babe, I think we've picked enough." He smiled. "It's not for you. I just forgot to grab the one I like." "Okay," I nodded. "Be fast. We're almost at the front." He kissed my cheek and disappeared down the aisle. That was the last time I saw him. I watched Daniel disappear down the aisle with an easy stride, his head turned slightly like he was scanning for the milk section. I smiled. I even waved at his retreating figure. My man. The line moved again. 2 more people in front of me. I adjusted the giant trolley, its wheels squeaking under the weight of my soft life. Every now and then, someone behind me would compliment my choices. "You really picked the best of everything," a lady said with a chuckle. I smiled back, feeling proud. "He told me to go crazy," I replied. I checked my phone. Still no message. I called. No response. Called again. Voicemail. Maybe he was still looking for the milk. Some shells could be hard to find. Now, just one person ahead. I glanced at the entrance of the aisle he had gone into. Still no sign. Another call. Voicemail. My stomach twisted just a little. Still, I smiled. Maybe he'd show up last minute and drop a cold bottle of full cream into the trolley like a movie scene. "Next, please," the cashier said. I stepped forward and gave one last glance toward the aisle. No Daniel. I pulled out my phone again. Battery 7%. I tried WhatsApp. Nothing. Just one tick. Maybe the milk section had poor reception. The cashier started scanning. The beeps filled the air. 8,999 naira. 4,299 naira. 59,999 naira. 45,000 naira. 10,999 naira. 19,200 naira. Ma, cash or card? The cashier asked politely. My mouth went dry. My boyfriend stepped out to get something. I replied quickly. He's coming. She nodded. No problem. She kept scanning. 31,500 naira. 78,999 naira. Then the beeps stopped. Total is 483,940 naira, she said with a bright smile. My fingers trembled as I redialed. Again, voicemail. I looked behind me. A small crowd had formed. Whispers were growing. Someone took out their phone. Was she filming? Ma, the cashier said again, this time more cautiously. Should we suspend this transaction? No, please. He's coming. The security guard, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, stepped forward. Madam, we can't hold this queue. I wanted to disappear. One last call. Phone dead. Just like that, my reality collapsed. The cashier gave me a kind look. Maybe you can return the items while we cancel this, just in case he comes. Return the items? My throat tightened. My ears buzzed. With every step I took, returning each item, the whispers behind me grew louder. The giggles became audible. Mocking. She thought she had a man. Judgmental. God, what went wrong? Derisive. Babe, this one don't carry trolley and shame. I felt like a ghost moving through fluorescent light. No Daniel. No milk. No fairy tale ending. Just me, my shattered pride, and a trolley that once felt like a throne. The first item I returned was the air fryer. It felt heavy, not because of its weight, but because of what it represented, the promise of ease, comfort, and the illusion that someone saw me as worth spoiling. As I dropped it gently back on the shelf, I felt like I was peeling off layers of my pride. One by one, I unloaded my dream life. The microwave, the luxury soap sets, the imported spices, the branded cereals, the 25 kg bag of rice. With each return, it wasn't just the items I was giving up, it was the fantasy. Somewhere near the household aisle, I heard a giggle. I turned slightly. A girl, probably in her early 20s, was holding her phone up, pretending to browse but clearly recording. Her friend whispered something and they both burst into laughter. I looked away. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But it was. Even the staff, though trying to act composed, couldn't hide their curiosity. Two cashiers leaned over and whispered behind a till. A young man at the bakery section asked the security guy in Nigeria pidgin English, "She no get money at all?" When I got to the sanitary pads section to return what I had picked, I paused. I didn't want to drop them. Somehow it felt too raw, too exposing, too real. But I dropped them anyway. There was no dignity left to protect. 45 minutes passed. When the trolley was finally empty, I walked out of Skyline Supermarket like a ghost. Not rushing, but not slow either. My legs were moving, but my mind was frozen. The sun outside was hot and unforgiving. My phone had died inside the store. I had no power bank, no charger, no airtime. I stood by the road, watching people pass like I was invisible. I waved at a tricycle. It drove past me. Another one stopped. I entered without speaking. The driver looked at me in the mirror and asked for my destination. I answered in a voice that didn't feel like mine. The ride was quiet. Back at my hostel, I didn't cry immediately. I sat on my bed, shoes still on, staring at the blank wall. There was no message from Daniel, no explanation, no sorry, no it was a prank, just silence. When the tears finally came, they didn't fall like a soft rain. They stormed. I felt used, though he hadn't touched me. I felt violated, though nothing physical happened. This wasn't heartbreak. This was humiliation, deep and bitter. But in the middle of that pain, something shifted. I opened my phone camera, face swollen from crying, and whispered, "This is the most embarrassing day of my life, but maybe one day it will make someone laugh or feel seen." I didn't know it then. That moment, that broken, honest video, it changed my life forever. 6 weeks passed. 6 weeks of silence from Daniel. No calls, no texts, not even a sorry something came up. I stalked his WhatsApp at first. He posted motivational quotes. The audacity. He even posted a story of himself eating amala with the caption, "Soft life isn't for everybody." That one cut deep. But pain, when you survive it, becomes material. It had been months since that unforgettable day at Skyline Supermarket, the day Daniel vanished and left me to face humiliation alone. In those months, I rebuilt myself from scratch. The videos of my embarrassment went viral. Strangers laughed, friends withdrew, and opportunities disappeared like mist. But I picked my dignity from the floor, held my head high, and walked forward, one painful step at a time. I had posted a video I recorded that day after I charged my phone. The one with my puffy face and swollen eyes. On TikTok, under an anonymous account. I didn't think much of it, just a soft vent into the void. But by morning, it had 300,000 views. By the end of the week, over 2.4 million. Comments flooded in. "Sis, this happened to my cousin. You're so strong for sharing. This is content, oh. Keep telling your stories. We've all been there. Love and embarrassment." It became more than a viral post. it became a movement. Girls started stitching the video with their own "He left me in" stories. A trend was born. Within days, I gained over 100k followers. Brands started reaching out. One PR agency offered to sponsor a Skyline supermarket do-over, an actual event where I'd go back and shop again, this time fully paid for, while a camera crew followed. I said no at first, but then I realized I wasn't doing it for revenge. I was doing it for every girl who had ever been made to feel small in public. The event went live on YouTube. The comments were insane. From shame to savage queen. I remember her story. Look at her now. She went from trolley trauma to national treasure. That day, I walked through the same Skyline supermarket aisle, not with Daniel, but with a small mic in my hand, a smile on my face, and a bank alert that could clear the shelves twice over. I wasn't vlogging out of excitement this time. I was documenting victory. My face never made it to the camera. I kept it faceless on purpose. But my voice, my words, they rang loud. And just when I thought the chapter was closed, a DM popped up. Daniel. Wow. I saw your video. You are blowing up. Proud of you. No hard feelings? I stared at the message for a few minutes. I didn't block him. I didn't insult him. I simply replied, "Thanks for the milk. It nourished my contents." And with that, I turned off my phone, lay back on my bed and smiled because I didn't just survive the most embarrassing day of my life, I monetized it. One evening, as the sun melted into the Ibadan skyline, my phone buzzed. It was Daniel. I stared at the screen. Messages flooded in. "Please, can we talk? I made a terrible mistake. You didn't deserve what I did. I've been suffering. Doors have closed on me. Give me one more chance." I didn't respond. But something in me wanted closure, not just silence. So I agreed to meet him at a quiet cafe in Bodija. When I arrived, he was already seated, looking nothing like the man I once admired. His hair was overgrown, his eyes hollow. He stood up quickly, eyes glistening with regret. "Thank you for coming," he began, voice low. I said nothing. He continued, "I've lost everything. Deals collapsed. A contract I was about to sign got cancelled. The investor pulled out last minute. Said he didn't trust my integrity." I folded my arms. "You ghosted me in public," I said. "Do you know what it means for a woman to be dragged online for something she didn't do?" "I was foolish," he said. "But I've changed, I swear. Let me prove it to you." I leaned back watching him. Then I told him, "Sometimes a man can walk away from gold thinking it's gravel, only to return and find someone else building an empire with it." His eyes welled up. "You made a joke out of my vulnerability, Daniel, And now you want to write a new chapter in a book you tried to burn? He swallowed hard. Life will humble a man who thinks he can toy with a woman's dignity. Not every closed door is meant to be reopened. Some are locked for your protection. I'm not bitter anymore. I forgave you long ago, but forgiveness doesn't always come with access. He dropped his head. A woman who chooses peace over a prince is wiser than a queen who stays in chaos because of a crown. I hope you find healing, I added. But I'm no longer the girl who begged to be chosen. I'm the woman who chooses herself. He looked at me, broken. I understand, he whispered. I stood up, picked my purse, and smiled softly. Some heartbreaks are blessings in disguise. They free you to meet the love you truly deserve. And with that, I walked away. I didn't cry. I didn't look back. Because when a woman survives betrayal and finds strength in her scars, she becomes unstoppable.